Hi, it's Paul from here, Proactive Tax. Looking forward to introducing you to our new 4-in-1 interactive software we call ARQPro. We also see this software as the missing piece in the jigsaw as regards the client-accountant relationship. It has recently been added to our ever-growing suite of resources that our full and premium Proactive Tax members have access to enable them to provide added value services to their client base and to help to enhance their profile within their local community. ARQPro now sits alongside our remuneration, incorporation and property reporting software we call PAT Potentials. Then there is the cryptocurrency hub, the diagnostic reporting tool we call Tax Boost, the pricing software Effective Price, the 6-year company car resource, year-end planning for both businesses and individuals, the full CGT property impact suite, the land taxes reclaim service, the various systems such as the income and accounts system, the company accounts and tax return system, plus the incorporation system and the pension allowance review. All of these sit nicely alongside the 240 plus tax tip brochures for clients and prospects, which get updated at least twice a year. We also help members with their marketing, partly through those resources I've just mentioned, but also through our first port of call brochure, our budget updates, the variety of edicts we send out weekly, some of which can be personalised and sent out to their client and prospect base, plus our client-directed Pay Less Tax newsletter, and internal help sheet for the accountants themselves. Added to that, we understand the importance of training, as well as education with the regular CPD certificated webinars we roll out to members, some of which I myself or my colleague Ian Patterson put together, and others created by using our wide spectrum of specialists, who our members can call upon either to white label out to their clients or to engage directly with them. They cover the full array of taxes out there, from corporate restructuring, VAT and customs, IHT, CGT, land taxes, capital allowances, R&D and the patent box, share schemes to international tax issues, right through to our white label payroll service, all operating within the safe confines of the tax legislation. If they do the work direct, our members earn what we call a payaway, which can range from as low as 7% of the specialist fee right up to 21% of their fee. As our ethical guidelines webpage emphasises, it's important that you follow the guidelines laid down by your professional body in respect of receiving that payaway. At the end of this webinar, if you're interested in finding out more about Proactive Tax, I will provide my contact details, and I'll be happy to have a no obligation conversation with you regarding our resources. Okay, let's get on with the webinar. In this webinar, I will aim to provide an outline of why ARQPro could be such a useful added value tool for both you, your clients and prospective clients, not just for now, but going forward year upon year upon year. It will help with client retention, provide an excellent added value service which can also be offered out to your prospect base and can only enhance your professional standing within the community. With Making Tax Digital for income tax just around the corner, this software can work perfectly in unison with it. Before I launch myself into showing you ARQPro, I think I ought to ask you a series of questions. How well do you know your client? How well does your team, assuming you have one, know your client? Do you share that information between you, and is it readily available when required? Do you know what your client's goals and aspirations are, both short-term and long-term, be it personal, commercial, or emotional? If so, how interconnected are those goals? How smart are they? Has your client even thought about this too? Do you truly know the client's starting position in this respect, to know how far they need to go and the feasibility or relevance of the goals set? What actions are being taken to achieve those aspirations? How regularly are those revisited? How far along the line is the client towards reaching those goals? What time frame, if any, has been set to achieve them? How has the progress towards those goals been measured? How often is all of this being reviewed to check the progress and adapt the actions and or tweak or add new goals where required. People's circumstances change after all. Marriage, kids, grandkids, business ventures, retirement, illnesses spring instantly to mind. How important is wealth creation to them? And how is that to be achieved? And in what timescale? And again, how is that to be measured? And how frequently is that being reviewed? How does tax impact upon all of this now and going forward based upon the actions being taken? Do you think your clients would like some structured, measured, flexible approach with that? Do you think that they would be grateful for your help, advice and expertise year in, year out in striving to get them towards what, in their eyes, is the promised land? Do you think it would be a great selling point in attracting new clients to the fold? Would a service of this ilk not help you with client retention? Would that not improve your standing within your client base and local community? Would it not be an added value service? Lots of questions, I know, and apologies for that, but it is important for you to consider them. Do you want to not only be seen to be different in comparison to the multitude of compliance practices or competing for the same space within your community, or do you want to actually be different in a positive way, which provides ongoing value and support for your client as well as for yourself, plus, heaven forbid, more interesting work, and you actually truly get to know your client? ARQPro can help you deliver that for you and your client base. It is broken down into 4 parts. These are standalone but also interactive, not just now, but going forward as well. The 4 interconnected components are Ask the Right Questions, Identify Inheritance Tax, Wealth Improvement, and Achieving Aspirations. Ask the Right Questions is broken down into various segments, as can be seen here. And once completed, provides a picture of where the client is at now, not only from an asset and liabilities perspective, but it also creates an understanding of the family and business structures, the family and business dynamics, and its relevant history. This, of course, might be tweaked as time goes on, but the records can be easily and quickly updated, available to you and your team. Some aspects you may already know, but others you would put together in collaboration with the client. You can always send over the report to your client to confirm that the understanding is correct. Off the back of that, there may be action points worth covering off with the client. You might then go into the Identify Inheritance Tax section. The aim here is to establish their present inheritance tax position. Again, there are a series of segments to it, which, when you open them up, enables you to factor in a whole range of things which may impact positively or negatively on their IHT position. This in turn creates the client's inheritance tax summary, which is naturally up for discussion. This should be done in conjunction with the knowledge of the family and the business situation, plus factoring in the goals and aspirations of said client, all of which is wrapped up within ARQPro. Off the back of this, there's a whole raft of IHT reports or action checklists at your disposal. Just to pick a few, there's the internal inheritance tax checklist, which you could go through to cover off certain points with your client. You could simply provide them with an estate summary for them to retain and review. Or better still, send them a full IHT report, which draws in the inheritance tax figures from the estate review and offers recommendations and tips they may want to consider. Simply written in a client-friendly sort of way, which enables them to understand what their present inheritance tax position is. The third component of ARQPro is wealth improvement. As you can see, this provides a balance sheet of the client's capital wealth position at a certain point in time. It provides a split between liquid cash and capital assets. This section of the software can be used in a variety of different ways. You can compare the client's wealth now with what it was the last time you carried out a review. In this case, it was a year ago. It again flags up the potential movement of wealth and where that movement is happening. Plus, it provides you with an up-to-date outline of what the inheritance tax situation is now. You can also look at the situation now to what was targeted a year ago or whenever the last review was done. You and your client can see whether or not they are on track to achieve whatever they are striving to achieve. You can look at whether or not the actions put in place last time have borne fruit, or if not, why not. This could result in new actions being created or simply tweaking existing ones. It may result in changing the dynamics of the goals the client originally set or the timescale involved in order to achieve them. It may also refocus their minds on the inheritance tax impact. You can provide them with a number of different wealth management summaries to help them get their heads around it. All of this is something tangible for them to comprehend and also acts as a good aid memoir. On top of that, you and your client can set a new wealth management target for a later date. Whether that's 1 year in my example or 5 years further on down the line. This should be linked to all their goals, as well as measuring the success of it at the following review. Depending upon how the future target is set, it will also provide an insight as to how that will affect their IHT position. It won't always be the case that the client wants to enhance their wealth pot. In some cases, the goal may be to reduce the pot, perhaps from an IHT perspective, or from a desire to help out their children, or simply to enjoy life whilst they can. Whatever the aim, the projected target summary you can provide them with in this respect will give them a reference point, as well as, to some extent, asking them to take ownership of it. As I've already mentioned, this should be linked to their goals, which takes us nicely into the fourth segment of ARQPro, headed Achieving Aspirations. So again, I ask, have you, or more importantly, has the client considered what those goals and aspirations are? Would it not help the client to define these goals, to discuss the feasibility of attaining said aspirations, to put an action plan in place and set a timescale in which to achieve this, and to discuss how the success or otherwise might be measured and the frequency of such a review? Yes, circumstances may change. New goals may arise which take priority over the original ones. But in all cases, setting those goals and the parameters around them will surely help the client to remain focused on achieving them. Part of the regular review is to some extent to hold the client to account, nicely of course, as to the goals they have set, and to see how far they have got on that journey. Through this section, Achieving Aspirations, ARQPro can help with that process. In discussions with the client, it can set the goals whether short term or long term. It can ensure, again in discussion with the client, that they are SMART goals. Some of those aspirations will straddle the business, personal and emotional interests of the client. Some of them will be influenced by their family and or the business dynamics or issues personal to them, such as ill health. Some aspirations will be affected by their financial position or will impact upon their financial position. But those goals are personal to them, each with a story behind them. Discussions on how these hopes and aspirations can be met and the actions to be taken quite rightly should happen. A review further down the line can be set to see if the goals have been achieved or progress has been made. Accountability, yes, on both your part and the client's. Keeping focused and spotting the issues and the opportunities in real time is the best way to get the client to where they want to get to. Looking back retrospectively achieves very little, apart from saying, if only, or if only you'd done that. As I've already shown you, there are a range of summaries you can provide to your client in respect to this, which will help as a reference point and keep them focused. ARQPro could be run with clients as either a standalone regular review or part of a year-end review, or, as I know some of you are already doing, in readiness for making tax digital as part of your offering on a quarterly basis. There's tremendous value to the client as they can track progress across several fronts. To them, it is naturally important as it relates to them, but they can also see that you want to be a part of this, that you want to help, that you're interested in them and where they want to get to. That can only keep the client tighter to you. With this added value service comes an added value to you, both financially and in the form of valued recognition from the client for the service you're offering, enhancing your reputation and gravitas and setting you apart from the run-of-the-mill accountant. Excellent from a marketing perspective. If help is required on how to structure the goal setting, advice is provided, along with an ARQPro goal setting checklist, which will take you through the necessary steps in a systemised way. Okay, I've told you about what ARQPro can bring to the table, but the additional icing on the cake is the sheer flexibility of the software itself. It is crying out to be used as part of the client-facing process. Importantly, You can totally personalize the software to suit your way of thinking, your personality, your community. What I mean by that is several-fold. By going behind the scenes, simply by clicking on your name, you can see all the prepared ARQPro documentation in front of you. You have a choice then. For example, if you don't like the layout or the wording of the reports we've put together, you can edit it, put your own wording in, and change that layout to suit you. Likewise, with the checklists and recommendations, you can do the same. Plus, you can delete ones you don't like and add your own ideas or additions as you see fit. Either that, or stick with what we provide. The choice is all yours. And remember, if you have a change of heart, our original setup is never lost. You can bring some or all of it back in. If we decide to add stuff to ARQPro over time, you can choose to accept it, delete, or edit it as you so wish. It is up to you. Lock down the changes, they're yours. We can't change it at that point. And if you want to change it, you can simply unlock and make the change. It becomes your personal software, set up the way you want it to be. Nobody else's, but yours. You can import your logo, so all the reports, summaries, etc. are seen as coming from you, but personal to the client. In this case, we have set ourselves up as Proactive Tax, the accountants, which is what you've seen on all the documentation I've shown you. If you are the owner of the business, you can decide who of your team can access the software. And you can search by client or team member. Within the software, as you would expect from Proactive Tax, is all the promotional material you require from videos, news articles, and flyers. Plus, don't forget, you have access to our specialists if you want or need to call upon them. However, to give that additional layer of comfort, there is training available on how to use it, both administratively but also technically, in order to maximise the tremendous year-on-year value for the client and yourselves. This can be a virtual one-to-one, either with myself or my colleague Ian Patterson, or through the training videos we make available, or the knowledge base here, as you can see, which you can even personalise and send out to your client base if you so wish, or through the training videos we make available, or the comprehensive ARQPro guide, which is in the body of the software itself, which I believe is self-explanatory. So that is it, ARQPro in a nutshell, and we proudly add it to the ever-growing array of resources within the Proactive Tax arsenal, with more in the pipeline, as it should be, because the tax and accountancy world is forever evolving. Clearly, no rest for the wicked. I reiterate, if this has piqued your interest in finding out more about Proactive Tax, then please do not hesitate to contact me. There's a whole variety of ways to do so. Either call me on 01246 488 200 or email me at either info@proactivetax.co.uk or paul.flynn@proactivetax.co.uk. Or message me on LinkedIn, or even link in with me on LinkedIn. Either that, or you can always access my diary, which you'll find at the bottom of the Proactive Tax homepage. And why not book a slot? You're under no obligation, and it would be lovely to have a chat. Thanks for giving up your time today to listen to me. I do hope you found it of some value. More importantly, keep safe and sound, and take care of yourselves.